So, talking about build, it's almost like you were layering the frequency. You get a frequency, then you have a download, it will go up to a higher frequency.
Up it. And the more you up the frequency, the more you get passing the energy over to the patient, the more the guides can do with them. And so, spiritual guides, by the way, and they would report amazing experiences. Now, I've done amazing healings where, and by the way, I'm only the channel for the energy. I'm no great, what's it? I'm just a channel for the energy. But they're just using me in a way like I've had time out. Most people don't get that privilege. I call it privilege now. The few years where I was on my own, here, finding myself, having stuff revealed to me, and being taught everything, lots of stuff, that I didn't quite understand at the time. I do now, but it was all part of a learning curve, you know. And I still class myself on the first rung of the ladder, and this is 30 years later. Because even now, today, yesterday, I've learned something new. The day before that, something new. For anything that I learn, I pass it on.
Well, it's not about the ego, is it? It's about humility.
Not at all. I don't have an ego.
You have to, I think...
I see it a lot.
The profound healers
ego.
I've met are kind of approached through humility, not through ego.
Yeah.
Because humility is a soul quality, and,
Yes.
and ego is a head quality,
Yeah.
an intellectual quality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about being humble with the work that you do.
Yeah, and also, down through the time, you know, down through the years, you get tested with fame, fortune, all the rest of it. I've had people ring up wanting to come film amazing things, wanting to be on such a programme, Heaven and Earth show, they call it over here, and different things, to film certain things that happens here. Now, if I wanted fame and fortune, and I wanted to write my book, I could write 10 books if I wanted to, with the stuff that's happened in here. It's not about the money. I couldn't care less. It doesn't mean anything to me, because what I've found within me and everybody else is priceless. I call it the pearl of great price. You know, the inner being, the kingdom of God is within you, as Jesus used to say. Now I know why and what it is, and who we are. You can't put a price on that. So, yeah, I was being tested, and you'd get the people coming who was the multi-millionaires and all the flash Harrys, you know, and couldn't care less. And when I realised that film stars, we've had them all, as you know, film stars with all the money and all the cars and their fancy houses and everything, they're striving for something, and they think by getting that fame and fortune that they get that, you know, that hunger satisfied. No, they don't, because then they reach fame and fortune, then they still want that something else, then they go on to the drugs, and that sends their head up the wall, but there's still something missing. And that's why you find, like, you've got such as a Richard Gere and different ones where they've turned to different kinds of religion, you know. I think he's a Buddhism, isn't it? Something like that. To find what they're looking for, you know, the God within. And so everybody's search goes down different roads. But we're all going...
But all rivers lead to the ocean, don't they?
Exactly.
The same ocean.
Same thing. And when you realise that all of that stuff, materialism, anything, it means nothing. Nothing compared to what you find within yourself at the end of the day.
And when, I think it was after one of your downloads, that's when you first experienced movers, wasn't it? Just tell us what a mover is.
A mover? Well...
We call them movers, but... Yeah.
Right. What a lot of people don't realise that you have a physical body and a spiritual body. And they're identical. You've got your physical body, your spirit body. and they're attached by a silver cord. And when a person gets on the bed, the physical body's lying on the bed, and the spirit is here, like this.
Their energetic body.
Your spirit. And that just floats up above, just that much. And the guides that's working with me, spiritual guides, there's a team of them, they're working on the spirit body. So if that person has, say, a problem with a shoulder or legs and what have you, or a back, they will do physio on the spiritual body.
And the physical body mirrors what the spiritual body does.
So you're standing there, you're doing your healing, and all of a sudden her shoulder will start to rotate. It's being rotated all over the place. That's why we call them the movers. And it was like, the first time that happened, I was doing an ordinary healing session, minding my own business one day. I'm stood there with my hands on this lady, and then all of a sudden her hands goes out like this. And I looked at her and I thought, oh jeez, I've got one of them. So I put her hands back on the bed, and it took off again. And I kept putting them back. And she said, why are you moving my hands, Ethel? I said, I'm not touching you, you're doing it yourself. She says, no, I'm not doing it. And I thought, not got full shilling this one. I thought she was a little bit, you know, and taking being dramatic and taking the mick out of it. So I was pretty annoyed with her, to say the least. And when it finished, I phoned the person who had recommended her to come. And I said, who the hell was that? Because you should have seen some of the stuff that she was doing. She said she'd never do that in a million years. But she does have those kind of physical problems. She had shoulders problems.
So the movement was directly related to her condition?
Her physical complaint. And but I was still wary, and I still questioned everything. And of course the next person that came in 2 days later, she started doing different kinds of exercises with the body. And I was like, what's going on here? To myself. But I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, there's no way you could do that. There's no way a physical person could do that. That certain exercise that she was doing. And but I still questioned. And then this chap came in from Devon, miles away, hundreds of miles away, as you know. And he'd been given a number for a healing session. Now, the story goes, he'd had physio every day because he'd been in a car crash. He'd broken every bone in his body. And he said when he used to go for the physio, he'd cry with the pain, with what the nurses did, the physio's done. He got on that bed, within 3 minutes, his body, his legs went one way, his arms went the other way. His whole spine was being realigned and stretched and pulled. His arms, his shoulders was being stretched, you know, and it's like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
And he had no pain?
He had no pain, he was wide awake, quite alert, they all are. They're wide awake. In fact, I say to them, look down at your legs and see what they're doing. You know, because they can't quite believe what they're actually doing. So, he started going through all of these different exercises. Incredible. And I learned so much from that man, because I started to question, are you feeling that? Where are you feeling that? He said, I'm not feeling any pain, but it's amazing. Every exercise that he did, he said, is what a physio in the hospital did, but it was happening without the pain. So I thought, right, here we go. Okay, if this is the guides, show me, teach me. So you see, they threw me in at the deep end. I wasn't prepared. I'd never even heard of it, movers. And I still haven't heard of it.
I don't know of anybody that's happened to, apart from...
So the stuff that we've seen, never. Because that started in my living room all those years ago. And that's not being egotistical or anything like that. Fact is, it did.
And it's a huge amount of people that come through the door that move. It's like something like 70%, or it's a huge percentage of people.
Yeah, and always after a download of energy. But one day, this particular lady was having her movements, and they stretched her shoulders, they did her hips, they did her ankles, her head was being stretched back. She had amazing stuff going on. What was my point? What was I leading to? Yeah, she had that going on. And it was about 2.5 hours later.
Mm.
And my next person's sitting in the kitchen.
Mm.
And I'm like... and... Well, she carried on doing all these exercises. So I just went like this, without her realising it. I just went, rolled my eyes, pointed to my watch, informing the guides, wrap it up. Immediately, they put her legs back on the bed, her arms back on the bed, as much as say, there you go. And I just cleansed her down. We finished, and she's like, oh my God, that was incredible, that was amazing. Oh my God. She couldn't get over it. Now that taught me we're in control. They're in it. We work together as a team, and lots of people.
But you're ringmaster of the stage, aren't you? When that happens, you've got to call the shots.
We have the person that's working with the patients, because the guides are there to assisting you, but you say, right, enough's enough now. And as soon as, so they threw me into the deep end. It was like them saying, well, you know, we're going to do this all day, Ethel.
Yeah.
We've got all the time in the world. And then the penny dropped. And that's when I realised I'm in charge. So anytime that happens, when I want that to finish at a certain time, I'll just give the person a drink of water and, right, love, sit up, and go and get them a drink of water. And
what's incredible is that when you attune somebody, that gets passed along the line. Because I know I never had a mover until you attuned me.
Yeah.
And then suddenly...
Well, all the movers out there, David, all the teachers out there, you can trace them back to here.
The lineage of the movers, as it were,
movers, yeah,
always comes from here.
Yeah.
And
they're all around the country.
You talk to people that haven't had that, they haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
What you're talking about. Movers, what? You mean twitching the fingers? No. Legs over the shoulders, love. You know, I'm stood there one day, imagine this, I'm stood there one day doing a healing session, eyes closed, hands on her head, you know, and I'm there looking at all the colours. Oh, and this is lovely, feels lovely, and the music's on and everything. She's having a lovely session, you know. It opens my eyes and there's a leg over this shoulders and there's one over this one. And what they were actually doing, this woman, who had a bad spine by the way, they were actually stretching out the spine and bending the legs right over her shoulders. Now she couldn't do that normally, but when she was on there, on the healing bed, because they're working her spirit body, they can do anything. Anything. I've seen them practice. They do yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi. Get your head around that one.
I mean, I've seen people get off the bed and do stuff.
That's what I mean, Tai Chi. They've never done Tai Chi in their life, yet you're looking at a master because they're doing all these exercises and it's incredible.
And we've seen people come in with backpacks and whatever, coming in the door, who are escorted and practically carried in and walk out the door.
Yeah.
And you go,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Amazing, incredible. And there was one lady who, there was, it took her carers, and myself, just 3 of us, helped her in. It took us about 5 minutes to get from the front through the house to the healing room, and finally get her on the bed. This woman couldn't even walk. She'd had a stroke down one side. The arm was like this, rigid to her chest. Her leg was like, you know, she couldn't lift it. You should have seen what they did with her. And that's on video. You know, because I had one of these set up at the time. Lots of people would like, once you get a mover,
I think sometimes the family kind of want to see this because they go back and go, what do you mean what went on?
That's why I got set up a tripod, and I would ask permission first if they wanted to film them, because once you get somebody moving, the following week when they come in, they will, the guides take up where they left off. So I would be able to switch the camera on. And so they give them a copy to take home to their husband, who's the biggest skeptic, go and say, what, you moved and you've done exercises. You can't even lift your leg off the floor. Well, look at this, love.